The observation deck of the Concordia station hummed with the quiet efficiency of a dozen alien species going about their business. Jessica Chen stood at the viewport, her coffee growing cold in her hands as she watched the purple-green swirl of the Andara Nebula beyond the reinforced glass. "You're going to love this assignment," Jack Martinez said, dropping into the seat beside her with a grin that suggested trouble. The Crithian ambassador specifically requested a human xenobiologist. Jessica raised an eyebrow. "The Crithians? The ones who think we're made of wet tissue paper?" "The very same." Jack pulled up a holopad, projecting an image between them. A creature that looked like a cross between a tiger and a dragon stared back with 6 luminous eyes. "This is a Crithian juvenile, about 3 months old by their standards. The ambassador's bringing his family to the station for the treaty negotiations. And they want me to, babysit? Educate." Jack's expression turned serious. "The Crithians have a problem. Their young are dying on colony worlds. They think it's some kind of infection, but nothing in their medical database explains it. They've lost 17 cubs in the last cycle." Jessica's chest tightened. 17 children. "What makes them think I can help?" "Because you're human." Jack leaned back. "You know what they say about us in the Galactic Assembly. Fragile as spun sugar, stubborn as neutron stars. The ambassador read your paper on adaptive socialization in traumatized species. He thinks human methods might work where Crithian logic has failed." The Crithian cub was smaller than Jessica had expected, no larger than a German shepherd, with scales that shimmered between bronze and gold. It huddled in the corner of the observation room, trembling. Ambassador Vorthak stood like a mountain of muscle and armor plating, his massive form barely fitting through the doorway. "It is sick," he growled, the universal translator rendering his clicks and hisses into somber English. "Like the others. It has been different since we arrived." Jessica knelt slowly several meters from the cub. She didn't approach, didn't reach out, just sat cross-legged and waited. "What are you doing?" Vorthak's confusion was palpable. "Watching," Jessica said softly. "Tell me, Ambassador, what do Crithian parents do when their cubs are frightened?" "We demonstrate strength. We show them the proper way. We do not tolerate weakness." Jessica nodded, keeping her eyes on the cub. Its breathing was too rapid, its scales dull. "And if they continue to show weakness?" Vorthak's silence was answer enough. She spent the next hour simply sitting there. The ambassador left, though she could feel his presence through the observation window. The cub watched her with all 6 eyes, occasionally letting out a small chirp that broke her heart. Finally, Jessica began to speak. Not to the cub directly, but to the air, her voice low and soothing. She talked about Earth, about the forests and oceans. She talked about her childhood dog, Max, and how scared he'd been during thunderstorms. The cub's breathing slowed. After 2 hours, it took a single, tentative step forward. Then another. When it was within arm's reach, Jessica extended her hand, palm up, fingers relaxed. An offering, not a grab. The cub sniffed her palm. Its rough tongue licked her fingers. And then, with a small chirp that sounded almost like relief, it collapsed into her lap. Jessica barely breathed. The cub was heavier than it looked, all muscle and scale beneath the soft underfur. She felt the rapid beat of its 3 hearts against her thigh. Slowly, carefully, she rested one hand on its back. The cub tensed, then relaxed. That's when she felt the claw. One of the cub's sharp talons had caught in the fabric of her sleeve, the reinforced material of her station uniform. The cub felt it too and began to panic, yanking its paw. Jessica's first instinct was to help, to reach down and free the caught claw, but something stopped her. The cub was already terrified. Any sudden movement from her might trigger a fear response, might cause it to lash out, so she sat still. The cub pulled and whimpered. Jessica felt the sharp point of the claw pressing against her skin through the fabric. It would be so easy for the frightened creature to slash her arm open, to rake those talons across her face. She didn't move. "Easy," she whispered. "You're okay. Take your time." The cub's breathing was rapid again, panicked. It pulled harder, and Jessica felt the fabric tear slightly. A drop of blood welled up where the claw's point had broken skin. Still, she sat. Behind the observation window, she could sense Jack tensing, probably ready to burst in. She gave the tiniest shake of her head. "Wait." The cub stopped struggling. It looked up at her with all 6 eyes, and something seemed to pass between them. Understanding, perhaps. Trust. Slowly, with deliberate care, the cub relaxed its paw. It twisted its wrist at a different angle, and the claw slipped free of the fabric. Jessica exhaled. The cub chirped again and pressed its face into her stomach. After a moment, it began to purr, a deep rumbling sound that vibrated through her entire body. Impossible, Vorthak said later, watching the security footage for the fourth time. You sat there. It could have killed you. It was scared, Jessica said, cradling her bandaged arm. Your cubs aren't sick, Ambassador. They're traumatized. On your colony worlds, they're separated from their parents too early, forced to prove their strength when they need comfort. They're dying of stress. The massive alien was silent for a long time. Finally, we are warriors. We do not coddle. No, Jessica agreed. But you also don't have to lose your children. There's no weakness in gentleness. No shame in patience. She gestured to the screen where the cub now slept peacefully, its scales bright and healthy. Sometimes the bravest thing you can do is sit still. Vorthak looked at her, this fragile human who had let his son's claw pierce her skin rather than frighten him further. Teach us, he said, and his voice cracked with something that transcended species. Please, teach us how to save them, Jessica smiled. That's why I'm here. In the observation room, the cub dreamed of gentle hands and patient hearts, and for the first time in months, its 3 hearts beat in perfect, peaceful rhythm.